Okay, I brought the energy level back on this video, and I've done it because this is largely an experiment for me. Never having done this kind of thing before, I was experimenting with different energy levels because I didn't want to bore you. But when I went back and looked at some of the videos, I didn't feel like it was really me. So this is sort of me being exactly who I am as I talk about these topics without trying to add more energy. Hopefully it's not boring. Today we're going to talk a bit about failure and what that means. And when I talk about failure, I'm talking about how people envision it with failure in capital letters as they envision themselves sitting somewhere roasting a weenie on a hanger over an open flame. So that's not what failure is. Failure to me is your business ends. Yes, you're financially broke. You have to start over. I get all of that, and that's not pleasant. But all is not lost. You have some assets that you carry forward, and it's everything in your head and everything that you learned and how you're going to apply that into the next thing. The real failure occurs when you don't try again, when you just do it and then you stop and you never get back on that horse and try all over again. I meet a lot of people who have failed once, and then they carry that with them the rest of their life, and they talk about the regret of ever having tried in the first place. And I don't think you do that. If it's in you to be an entrepreneur, you just keep doing it again and again. And success happens when you get up one more time. I've heard that said to me before, and I know it's been the case with me. Not everything that I do turns out exactly the way I want. But I keep persisting, and I keep tweaking, and I keep refining. And so when you think of failure in large capital letters, break it down into small letters. It's just a setback. It's no more than that. And you have to think of it in those terms. Otherwise, life gets to be a little bit dull. And when you leverage that, when you start to think about what it is you did wrong and you take that forward and you learned from your mistakes, you're very viable. Now, investors, they'll look at your failure and they'll say, well, I won't ever invest in you again. They'll only do that if you did something smarmy. So, for instance, if you hid some of the stuff that you were doing, if you did some things that were pretty underhanded, that's a tough one to overcome. You're going to have to rebuild your reputation, and that's going to take a very long time. But if your venture failed honestly, then you're not going to see investors that are going to be bad-mouthing you over that. It just failed because of circumstances in the market or whatever the case might be. If you put your heart into everything and you did all you could to make it successful, that goes a very long way. That by itself impresses investors, and it impresses the team that you work with. I meet people who have worked as a team together as entrepreneurs, and let's say their venture failed. Well, when they stayed together and moved into the next venture and were able to basically be pre-calibrated in terms of how they work together, they were a far more successful team in the next venture. And so you're able to carry things like that forward. And that's an asset, and you have to think of it as an asset and then build on it. This is an important part of the overall process. So never think of failure in the sense that, oh, my life is over with and now I've got to go live under a bridge somewhere. That's not the case at all. You just pick yourself up, you start over, and you rebuild. And that's critical that you do that. And, if one tip is to go find other entrepreneurs who have also failed and are restarting and talk to them about their experience of what they went through and what they're going through now to rebuild. You need those points of encouragement and people that will help you get through some of the self-doubt that you end up with as a result of failure. And that's the hard thing about just being an entrepreneur in general, is that you never know exactly where you are in the state of your venture. Sometimes you think your venture is failing when in fact it's succeeding. You just can't see it yet. That client that has been watching you for a long time just hasn't made the call, but they're right there. And you never know when that's going to come. You never know when that's going to happen. And you just have to keep persisting. Refine if you must, but don't just give up. So that's it for today. So until next time, see you later. Thanks for watching this episode. If you want to follow us and know where we are, you can find us in a bunch of places. We're on middlerock.com, which is our website. Up at the top, you'll see things for upcoming Zoom events that you can participate in. We bring in other speakers and we talk about entrepreneurship. You can also find me on Tom on Entrepreneurship on Quora, as well as Tom Nault on Quora. I also have a personal website, tomnault.com. You can find there, but I don't talk about business as much. So you can find us in all of those different places. And so we hope to hear from you. Write us, let us know what you think. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell when the next one is coming up so that you're notified. And thank you very much for being here.